So in the process itself, you had mentioned a couple of things that were important to you in the process. What else is important to you as a C-level executive when you're trying to make these decisions that sellers need to be aware of?
I think this is a very classic item. As prior to my agency world, I was in sales, and that was what I was selling: marketing material or marketing technologies and advertising. So I had to know what my buyers wanted if I was going to be successful. And that's what bit the consulting bug for me. So looking at both sides of this, there's an old saying that you could have 100 CEOs in the room. And if you give them a logical argument and say, if you spend $1 now, I'll give you 100 in a month, everyone's hand should go up. It's 100% guaranteed. Why doesn't it? And it's because just that pure logic is not the only thing in the buying cycle. So if your ability to sell was the number one thing, then that should happen, but it doesn't. And quite often, accept a no, because sometimes a no is actually going to save you time to talk to the right person. But beyond that, find out what I actually care about and make sure in that first sentence, it's something relevant to me. I can't tell you how many messages I get because it's about reducing risk. To actually directly answer the question, I need to know that this is not going to make me look stupid to my clients from that perspective. But then also sitting in-house or as the leadership of that, I need to know it's going to do the job. I have numbers I am beholden to. I have objectives that need to get done. So minimize my perception of risk, and I'll consider raising my hand. But that has to be, I think, especially in the economy of the past 5 years, that has to be paramount.
Yeah. So reducing the perceived risk that you have. But in order to get that, to your point, they have to understand what that is.
Yes.
And what's the best way for them to understand that, do you think? Is it by asking questions? Is it by doing research? Combination?
Definitely a combination. I think one of the most frustrating things is if I get an email that was like, clearly it was well thought of. Okay, an agency owner cares about this, but there was nothing personal about it. It was immediately copy pasted. And I know there is the need for some, some standardization and automation, but really there should be some level of customization as well in those to show me that it matters. And I think where that gets really different is the higher up you get, the better in terms of the title of the person you're talking to, the more customized it needs to be. So that's really frustrating because I feel my time is deeply disrespected. And if somebody has that, they're immediately written off. I almost don't even care what they have to sell because there's very few times, to go back to my other example, where there's not somebody else who does it better. And that relationship, knowing I will be listened to, that my clients' needs will be listened to, that actually kind of trumps the entire technology platform, because quite often there's so much parity between these different possible options that's going to make it more important.
Yeah. And so the frustrating part is not understanding how do your capabilities help me to achieve the thing that I'm looking to achieve, because that, I would imagine, in your mind is how you're going to be able to reduce the risk, is by understanding
exactly
this is going to solve the problem.
And does it do what you actually say it's going to do? That is often a surprising thing, because you'll have sometimes these sales reps who say what they have to tell you all the features, and they think they know it all. And then you explain something, they're like, yeah, it should work. You buy it, you install it, and you find out it does not, in fact, solve the problem. That is terrible. And I do reference, sites like G2 and a few others just to see if that's happened before, because those are red flags. By one or two of those is enough to make me turn my head.
Yeah. And so I think to the G2 crowd, that's one of the things that I don't know that a lot of companies are paying a lot of attention to is, like we talk about Glassdoor when we're hiring to crowd, but companies will do NPS score surveys, but they aren't paying to the stuff that's already out there sometimes. So that's a word to the wise of companies.
Especially closed loss analysis, because that's where you'll find those kinds of things. Find somebody who was turned off and figure out why.